Another fine woodworking detail that we're going to add to our jewelry box is this trim that runs along the bottom. So we're only going to put the trim on the front, the left, and the right. There is no base trim on the backside. This profile, the OG profile, is going to match the profile that we put on the top. So these instructions are on how to make the trim. So what we need to do is we need to actually make the piece of trim. So this trim is going to wrap around the side and the front and the other side of the box. But we need to make this stick. So let me show you how we're going to do that. To make the trim, we're going to start off with a board like this. We need to make sure that one edge of the board is nice and flat, straight, and smooth. We're going to find that we have lots of pieces like this in our scrap bin, because these are the cutoffs from when we ripped the box sides down to 4 inches. So we've got pieces like this. We need a flat, straight, smooth edge. Just want to let you know that if the edge is not flat, straight, and smooth, we can't use it, and you can't go ahead and put this on the jointer because it's not tall enough. It's not as tall as the fence, so that was our rule. All right, and what we're going to do is we have the router table set up with an OG bit, and the process is going to be to run this board through the OG bit. Okay, of course. Right now I don't have the guard on, I'm just kind of demonstrating here. So let's take a look at the setup. I made it sound kind of simple. All you had to do was push the board through the router bit. But I just want to show you, every time you hesitate or stall when you're pushing the board through, every time you hesitate or stall, what happens is the router bit stays in one place just for a second, split second too long. What happens, it burns. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to avoid burning and tear out. So to start with, I've got this router bit is probably sticking up way too tall out of the table. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lower the bit down. Okay, so I start down here. And so what I'm doing here, this first pass, when I run it through, I'm taking off a lot of material. Okay, and so it's kind of hard to push. Sometimes, right, you might have to send this thing through once, twice, 3 times to make sure that you get a nice, even routed edge through there. And you're going to find that you probably are going to have some burn marks because it is hard to push. So now what I want to do is I want to take off a little bit more material, but less than what I first did. So this time I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to crank this up maybe a quarter of a turn. You can see that came up. And so again, this time I'll run it through. I'll try and be as smooth as I can. And then I might even want to try it, I say a third time, I'll do another quarter turn and I'll run that thing through again. Keep in mind, you can run this thing through as many times as you want, because what happens is the edge of your board ends up running up against this bearing, so it's never going to take off too much stuff. Alright, so let's see it in action. Okay, I'm all set. I got my router bit set to the correct height. I've got my guard in place. Remember, never stick your fingers underneath that guard. And I've got my selected species of wood all set to go. I got a nice long piece and it's nice and flat and smooth. So let's go ahead and run it through. So this may take several passes to get a nice even profile cut all the way through. And you might need to raise the bit up a couple times also. After you have your board all routed, what we're going to do is we're going to rip it on the table saw. Notice there's no guard, there is no splitter, and no anti-kickback protection. So what I'm going to do is bring the board to me and I will rip it for you. And here is our piece of trim ready for installation.